Okay, I think we can start. Hello everybody. Today we'll see how SpagoBI allows you to perform Whatif analytics. And we can start now taking a look at the menu. We start with a very short introduction where I present SpagoBI, and then we go deeply into the functionality of the Whatif Engine. We'll have a very fast demo, and finally we will discuss about the roadmap of this new engine. This webinar will take you something like 20 minutes. Okay, let's start presenting myself. My name is Ghedin Alberto, and I'm a solution architect of the SpagoBI Labs and of the Engineering Big Data Competency Center. My main activities include the definition and development of new functionality of SpagoBI, of consulting and training and definition of big data architectures. What is SpagoBI? Actually, as you can read in this slide, SpagoBI is the only entirely open source solution for business intelligence. The license is Mozilla Public License version 2. So you can do more or less whatever you want with SpagoBI. You can download it for free. You don't have to fill any form. So you can use it, you can change it, and you can include it in your solution, and you can also sell it. What SpagoBI can do? If you already tried some of the last version of SpagoBI, you should know that it allows you to create interactive dashboards. It can allow you to create online analysis, network analysis, geospatial analysis, query by example. You can do self-service BI. You can use you can access the information using mobile devices and some more functionality. You can collect data from various data sources, such as relational databases. You can also access data from NoSQLs, from files, from web services, or Java classes. Now, with SpagoBI 5.1, you have also more innovative analytical possibilities. The first one is the in-memory cockpit. This is a new user-friendly self-service BI tool that allows the final users to create complex analytics just using the drag and drop. Then you have 3 new engines that allow you to interact directly with data and get new type of information. In particular, you can apply algorithm of your data, such as data mining, text mining, and so on. And you can do that with a new data mining engine that integrates R. You can predict the business scenario, and you can do that with the Whatif analysis that we will see soon. And then you can also listen data from social and make sentiment analysis and campaign evaluation using the new SpagoBI social engine. This is the architecture, the modus of SpagoBI. SpagoBI is a web application, and the core is the server that offers the analysis. Then you get the connection to the database, manage the security, can manage the user. But SpagoBI can be also integrated with external source store of users like LDAP or other source of users. Then you can connect SpagoBI with your security environment, something like single sign-on. Then you have the SDK, that is another module that allows external application to get data from SpagoBI. For instance, they can offer you REST services to get reports or to get information like parameters or other information of SpagoBI. Then you have the Studio, SpagoBI Studio, that is the development environment for the documents of SpagoBI. You have SpagoBI Meta, that is another tool based on Eclipse that allow the users to create business models. And on those business models, the user can create query and create reports with drag and drop tools like the query by example that allow the final user to build the query in a simple way taking data from these models you created with the Meta. Okay, now we have a very small picture of SpagoBI, and we can take a look at the solution for the Whatif analysis. The Whatif analysis, the Whatif analysis engine is an extension of our new OLAP client. The users can explore the cube and change the values simulating scenarios. An example can be the exploration of the impact of the incrementation of 1% of the taxes. What this increase of taxes can, what is the effort that this increase of taxes can have in the revenues of a store, suppose in California or something. In this slide, you can see how the user interact with data, and you can do that using this meta language. The meta language is something like an Excel-like edit language that helps you to define your scenario. It includes arithmetic functions like this one, but it can also refer to dimensional members or use variables and aliases. For instance, in this example, we say that the store sales of this year is the 20% more than the store sales of 2011. There are several ways to manage modification of the cube, and so we also provide different algorithms that spread the modification, and we will discuss then about that later. And why and what is an algorithm? An algorithm is just a rule that manage the spreading of the changes into the children of a data. For instance, suppose I change data for the food. In this case, a modification here, of course, will have impact also on all the children of this entity. So the algorithm is the entity that manages these modifications, and we will see an example later. The engine provides also mechanism of versioning. So when the user is satisfied by a modification, he can also change the versions. He can also save the versions. In this slide, you can see the process of Whatif. Generally, it's an interactive process and involves more than one actor. For example, the area manager works on its data, then the general manager explores the data and asks, for instance, for changes. And so the process can start again with another iteration. So let's take a look at the main features of the engine. First of all, there are two levels for the computation. One is in memory, the other one is on the data source. Why we have this distinction? As you can imagine, if you have a huge cube, it's very costly to apply every modification in all your data. So when the user changing a values, the engine applies the modification in memory and only in a small portion of the cube, the one that the user is viewing that moment. So the user interface responds immediately. When the user has created this scenario, so after some modifications, it can save the changes, and only at that point the engine will write back the data into the database in a new version, for instance. Of course, it doesn't modify the tables of the data warehouse, but it works on ad hoc structures. We will see in the demo that the interface is pretty simple, because we spent a good amount of time in making it easy to reach the functionality. If you already work with the SpagoBI and with the OLAP engine, and in the previous version we have JPivot, JPalo, you can see that this new interface is really very easy to use. With a small number of clicks, you can access more or less on all the data. Algorithm version 5.1 provides the proportion algorithm that spread changes proportionally to the children. Let's see an example. Suppose we have only a dimension and only a measure. Okay, the dimension is country and the measure is store sales. With this assumption, we can represent the values in a tree like this one you can see here. Now, suppose I'm a businessman and I want to see what happens in the USA if I double the amount of all the sales. Okay. Okay, I set the value in the root, like 10,000, and I see that also the values of the children will be double. Of course, this operation is performed down to the leaves. Okay. So this is a very simple algorithm, and this is a very simple example because we just have one measure and one dimension. But suppose in a real case when you have multiple dimensions and you act, for instance, in a simple cell, and this value is propagated down to the leaves. Okay, you can see that it's very small change. For instance, taking the data of the sales of the last year and the impact of the closing of a store or something like a problem in a region, you can see how this small event changes all the cubes. So all the information for all the countries, for all the stores, for all the type of products. Okay. From the next version of SpagoBI, we will introduce also other algorithms. The first one we will introduce is the one that spreads the value proportionally, but not from the root node, but from the leaves. Let me show you an example. Here we have the same example of before. In sense, we have the stores, the coast, and the countries, and you can see here we have the leaves, and the leaves are defects. Okay, so you can see that in California you have this store coast. Okay, the new algorithm we will create will spread the value on relatively to the number of the leaves. So in this case, it counts the number of leaves of the subtree that starts from the edited cell, and then it distributes it to the leaves, and the result will be this one. Suppose I set 12,000, it counts the number of leaves, that is 6, and then it spread the value of 12,000 in the leaves, and then it creates the aggregations. So the difference between this algorithm and the previous one is that this one starts from the leaves, the other one starts from the root. Okay. Actually, the algorithm is a very good extension point because you can develop your algorithm and deploy it in SpagoBI. You just have to implement a Java class that contains the logic. I think now we can see a demo. Let me take it. It should be something like, okay, it's just, okay, here it is. This is the interface. As you can see here, we have the cube. Here we have the dimension of the columns, the one of the rows, the filters, the toolbar. Okay. So suppose I want to see in the rows the customers. Okay. I'll change my view, and to do that, I just have to drag and drop the customer to the rows. And as you can see here, now I have one dimension that is the product, and the other one is the customers. Suppose I want to have the customer as first dimension in the cube. I just have to click in the swap button, and the view will change. Okay, so now I have the customer and the drinks. So as you can see, changing the dimension of the cube is very easy. I just have to drag and drop. Of course, I can move from rows to column, and I can swap the axis. Suppose I want to create a slice, for instance. So I want to take data only for a year. I just have to click in the funnel, and I can select a slice of the cube. And the view and the cube is filtered. Here I can see the slice. So for all this information, for all this iteration, I just have to act with the cube. If you remember, with the pivot, you have a very small button here with the cube, and you have to open it and define the slices and the dices on the using that menu. In this case, suppose I want to create a dice. So select a part of the cube. I can click on the funnel in the dimension shown in the cube, and select the dice I want to see. For instance, I want to take the drink and all products and the non-consumable. Here I can see the result. Then we have the toolbar, and the toolbar contains the most used tools. We have the different type of drill down. Here we are using the position. We can have the remember, and with remember I can, let me open take all the customers. Okay. This is an installation on my machine. Come on. Okay, good. So suppose I click on remember. Okay, what does it do? If I click on a member, it explodes all the occurrence of that member. So if I click on drink, it will explode all the occurrences of drink, as you can see. So the drill position explodes only the one where I clicked. The member explodes all the occurrences of the same member. Suppose I can select drill replace. It's open and replace the dimension, and I can see just what I'm clicking in. So if I click on non-consumable, all the dimension product will be replaced with just the explosion of the member where I clicked. So in this case, I'm viewing the products and only the non-consumable. Then let me take again position. Then we have also we have all the tools. We will discuss about this one later. Then we can have also the show parent members that show all the parents. We have the hide span that will remove the empty cell. In this case, we don't have anyone, so but it remove if I have empty row or empty columns, it remove them. I can show properties, so if I have the main member that have also properties, I can see the property using this button. Or I can, the hide spans will show you all the hierarchy, so you can see all the values for all the levels. Okay. And the suppress empty rows and columns will remove the empty rows and the empty columns. Okay, that was the OLAP. Now we can take a look at the Whatif functionality. And the Whatif functionality is managed by this toolbar here. Let me just simplify the view. Okay, maybe I can. Maybe we can do something like this. I can recall, so we can start from the beginning with an empty view. So these buttons manage the Whatif functionality, and what we can do is something like this. We can, first of all, we should select a version. The version is the scenario. Okay, so if I want to change data, I should select at least one starting point. Okay. At this point, I can start to change the data. For instance, suppose I want to, let me open the link. For instance, I want to add some value to the store sales. For instance, I want to say that for the next year, my store sales is something like the value plus 10%. I can change the value, and of course, it changes also the children and the parents. Okay, maybe we can do something that we can add some the customers. And we can also see the all members for products. This was the operation that takes a long time also before. Okay. So now suppose we want to increase the value for some region of Mexico, something like Guerrero. We can say, okay, good. I want to add 1%. I want to have that the value of Guerrero is the same of. Let me select one, something like customers dot df plus 10%. Okay, you can say something like this. I want that the value of Guerrero is the same of df plus 10%. So, for instance, you can represent, you can refer to starting from a cell. You can also refer to other cell. So, with the meta language, you can use arithmetic function, but you can also refer to other dimensions, to other members. You can also use aliases. For instance, suppose you have some taxes, the fixed taxes, and you can define into the template of the document a list of variables, and you can use them in the view. For instance, suppose I have something like tax, I can do something like plus taxes. Okay? So with the meta language, you can use arithmetic function, refer to other dimension or members, and use aliases. When you have finished to create your scenario, you can say, okay, I'm okay, I've done. So what I can do is save my modification, because at that moment the modifications are just in memory. Now you can persist them into the database, and to do that you just have to click on save. And in this way you save the data in the version we are looking at this moment, for instance in my case version V. But if I want to create another version, I have to click on save as, and it saves the data into another version. So what does the engine do is create a copy of the data in the database, creating a new version. As you can see here, we have the algorithm. So you can select an algorithm. In the previous version, we just let me start. We suppose we change the data of store sales. We select something like 30,000. You can see that the value is equally split to the children, but we can also select the other one, equal partitioning on leaves, and in this way the changes will be spread differently according to the number of leaves. Of course, this algorithm will take more, because the difference between the previous one and this one is that this one has to navigate all the tree. So you have to take all the data and get the data from the leaves. So in this moment, it's changing the data of 300,000 lines, because this is our demo database, and it contains that number of lines. If I change the root, like what I've done now, you have to change all the data in all the database. Okay. So more or less, it's all for this engine. So the new Whatif engine allows you to the new Whatif engine allows you to navigate the data using the OLAP navigation tools. So it's a new version of our previous OLAP engine. It provides you a new interface that is more usable, it's more dynamic, it's easier to use, and also faster in the visualization. And it allows you to change the data from the data from and into the database. So you can take the data, change some value, create a new scenario, and then save this scenario. So you can make assumption on, for instance, of the sales of the next year. You can suppose the closing of some shop, and you can see what is the impact of small changes into whole the view. Now, what are the next steps for the Whatif analysis? The next step will be the export on XLS. So now you can export the data, suppose of a scenario, in an external file, but the file will contain all the lines of the data warehouse. With the new development of the export XLS, you can export the view of the OLAP in an XLS file. We will develop more algorithms. We now have only 2 algorithms. We will have more algorithms. And another thing we have to do is to create a visual tool that allows the sharing and discussion of changes. Because now what we have seen today is only a part of Whatif analysis. The other part is like the definition of the scenario, the negotiation of the proposal, all this type, the sharing and this discussion of changes at the moment are not developed. You have to create them using changing the database, so create XML files. We have to create something like a graphical tool that allow you to start from the database and create all the structure for the definition of that allows the works of the Whatif analysis. In our wiki, there are all the explanation of the usage of this engine, but there are also all the specification and all the modification you have to do in the data warehouse to allow Whatif analysis. Simply, you have to create another source that allows the engine to write the scenario and the data of the new scenario I created. More or less, we have finished. If you have some questions, you can digit them in the chat, and I'll be pleased to answer you. Okay, if there is no question, I thank you, and I hope you will try our engine. We have a forum, so if there is our wiki where you can see how to use this engine. We have our forum, so if you have any question, please don't hesitate to contact us. Okay, so thank you and have a nice day.